Are you ready, Teddy?
Yes.
Hello, darlings, and welcome to Text Live, the live edition. This is episode 709. I'm your host for the night, Kodi Maurice Doggette. I'm filling in for Steve V alongside our extra special, beautiful, and ready guest host, Teddy Alexis. Hi, Teddy. How you doing
Good,
tonight?
good. I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. We just had a very in-depth conversation,
Yes, we did.
and I'm going to see you this weekend.
You are. But I
I
wanna I wanna
am.
talk to you before we start the show
Oh,
because
oh,
not
here we
you
go.
co-hosting with some other man in these airlines
I'm
and you
cheating on
just
you.
you be cheating on me and now you just like casually, hi Teddy.
We
Explain
spoke about
yourself.
this.
What was happening?
We talked about this. Okay.
Mhm.
We are. It's all love here at Tax Podcast, and uh, I did not expect this ambush, but I'm here for it. So yeah,
I'm just kidding. I'm
all
just
love.
kidding. It's just
We all love each other.
I miss co-hosting with you on the lives. I feel like this
Right.
is where we thrive.
Really. Unfiltered and unadulterated.
Yeah.
Well, Teddy, I know you listen to the podcast avidly, and you know that we have been doing this thing where we go straight into the topic of the day,
Yeah.
and I think that's what we're going to do tonight also. So, are you ready for that?
I'm very ready. Lock and loaded.
For this jelly? You're ready for this jelly, right?
Hmm.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, we had a discussion about masculinity and putting on masculine masks as gay men last week. And I kind of wanted to get right back into that and not really
Hmm.
rehash it, but get your opinion on it because you weren't here last
Sure.
week. So I think it would be great to get your opinion on that and also touch on some topics that we didn't really get to touch on last week because I feel like there's more ground to be broken as far as this topic is concerned. So you down for that with me tonight?
Hell yeah.
Beautiful. So, just to catch you up, and as far as everyone on your opinion, to catch everyone else up on your opinion, what were your early influences on masculinity, and how has that informed you
Ooh.
and your portrayal of masculinity in the world and in dating?
Well, that's a big question,
Isn't it? It's,
right?
it's been last week. George Michael for me.
Well, before I get into that, it's just that we grew up in like a different times, right? And
The
some
1800s.
place, sure, sure, but for some of us, like the masculinity of it all was like not only like something to aspire, but also like a defense mechanism and just like code ourselves because you know, when I was in high school, there was like nobody was out, right? And like you just needed to protect yourself in that way. So I feel like even though I'm personally usually more attractive to feminine guys,
Oh,
um,
really?
yeah, the masculinity of it all was something that was like strive for, right? It was like something that when we were little was like, yeah, this is what you need to be. So in terms of you just had to be super macho, specifically because grew up in Latin America, specifically in the Caribbean.
Yeah.
Like it was just like kind of like the rough and like not really showing any emotions or any vulnerability, right? That was something that I grew up with, like very much so. um but I was like really attracted. I wasn't really attracted to masculine. Like I really like Ricky Martin, and Ricky Martin's always been, to me, was like more on the feminine side.
You think so? I
Well,
don't
he
really
had
see
like
that.
long hair, and you don't see that, which is that's really interesting because now I feel like he reads really masculine because
He's
the
got tattoos, and I can see that when Wednesday came out, he had really long hair, right? Am I wrong?
when Vuelve, yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, and before that, when he was in Menudo, like he was like
Oh yeah.
the
That
more
was
sensitive
sneaky.
guy, right?
Oh yeah, that's what they cast him as. I wasn't really familiar with him when he was in Menudo, but Yeah. Okay, I see that.
Yeah,
And I really I'm glad you touched on this because I wanted to layer in that like
sure.
this conversation has been had by three Latin men. So I think that a lot
Oh,
of that machismo is
hmm.
wrapped up in a lot of our DNA because we grew up with that culture. So yeah, how do you think that that has influenced your dating life?
But dating is the opposite because I feel like, for example, like my best friend from college, he was like hyper masculine, and he like really thrive on like people not knowing that he was gay. And like to him, it was, and we used to get into fights about this because he used to like just get so excited when people are like, "Oh, you're like so not a gay guy," and he would just get so like full, like his chest was like so full, and I'm just like, well, that's whatever. So in terms of dating, I'm more expensive, I think, right? As I told you, I'm like more into feminine guys, and this is eras. So like, I might be talking about things right now, but like that might not be true in the past. Because when I started, like, I didn't really started dating until like my late mid 20s. I was like a very late bloomer. I famously try to got into this podcast when it was like episode 1 to
Okay.
like expand my palette in terms of sex because I was like, she was dry.
Wait.
Yeah.
Uh, wait, you didn't start listening to you started listening to this show when you're in your 20s?
No, I
No.
started listening to this
Okay.
podcast when it was like episode 1.
Okay, I get that. But you didn't come out and start having sex till you were in your 20s. Therefore, it
No,
was just
that's not
slow
true.
burn.
That's not true. I started
Well,
dating,
talk to me.
dating specifically.
Oh, the phrasing is what's important here, right?
Right.
The
I
phrasing.
mean,
Words matter, right?
words do matter because, we can always scratch and sniff anywhere, right?
Oh, there was scratching and sniffing going on.
I mean, yeah, Um, I didn't start dating until I was in my 20s. And
And
I don't think masculinity really um, went through my head as something that was um, a priority to me. I like affection mostly, and that's like what guides me. If I were to like decide only on that, I'm usually, like I said, like I'm more attracted to feminine guys, which is really interesting. Because even though within that, I like, as in now, I'm like more attracted to people that identify as tops. So
yeah, that's really interesting. And can you push back just a little bit your
the
microphone?
microphone,
Yes, dear.
is that
Yes, dear.
better?
Yes, much better. Um,
I'm handless
so
today. I kind of like it.
right, it's good. Lets you focus your faculties a little bit more. So
Yeah,
okay, so I'm really curious, and this is like off the
sure.
cuff. Do you consider
Oh,
yourself more masculine or feminine?
you see, that's really interesting.
Hmm.
Because the answer to that question is really different to depending on the time. When I was growing up, I consider myself super feminine.
Okay.
And so much that I remember when I was in middle school and like most of the gay guys had girlfriends in order to like, mitigate the attention that they had on them. And I
Mhm.
tried, and I remember this girl, one of my best friends, her name is Belinda. Hi, Belinda. I
Hi,
tried to
Belinda.
be her boyfriend, and she like was like, "Are you fucking kidding me? Like, who's gonna believe?" Like, it was just like, girl. And fast forward to now,
And she said, "Girl, to you," is what happened. She was like, "Girl,
and this is
calm
like
down."
93, okay? This is like 90, okay? But now, when I'm like hanging out with my kids, like half of them are non-binary, they're always like, "You're very mass presenting," and they consider me
Oh,
masculine. But it's the time. I feel like in the times that we have defined what are the signifiers, and at the end of the day, what is masculine, right?
I mean, that's what we're here trying to unpack, right?
Right?
I have another quick question for you.
Oh,
I know you presented me with a question,
okay.
but do you feel at all that you have had to portray masculinity at all? Or are you doing that now? Are you
Mhm.
doing that in today's present time? Is it a mask that you feel you have to put on?
As an actor, yes,
Okay. Oh, look at this
all the time,
perspective.
all the time.
Look at this perspective.
If
This
I
is
wanted
great.
to book something, it had to be super masculine. It's funny because as somebody that's been performing since I was like 9, I'm in my 40s now. Um, I I remember specifically my first show that I booked when I was in college. I was a freshman.
Mhm,
The director fired me, and not because I missed rehearsals. Not he fired a bunch of people because they missed rehearsals.
mhm.
But it was because I was gay. Like I was presenting gay in the show.
Okay.
And after that, I like went like really hard on like trying to like hone in masculinity. And like I was like, I could be the butchest of the butchers on stage, right? I
Mhm.
had that. And there was a point where I kind of killed
Can I say one thing really quick?
that
I'm
persona.
sorry.
Yeah, of course.
It's just a I would like to come see you perform because I would like to see that person. I've never seen them that and you
So I don't do that anymore. That's what
you
my point
don't?
was. That was what my
Okay,
point
go.
was because I did this show. It's called El Olor de Popcorn, the smell of
Mhm.
popcorn. It's a 2-person show. It's a Puerto Rican show, and there's this kind of like homeless guy that breaks into this girl that is getting her bachelor's in theater um, apartment to steal her rent money, and she like
Okay.
acts her way out of it, and it's this like really like drugged out guy. And I that was when I did that show, I kind of like cleansed myself from that. I'm like, I can do this, and everybody was like really happy with it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. And then I was like, now I'm going to start exploring my identity as a gay man. And then I started writing plays and using some of my short films. So it's all about the
Yeah.
intersectionality of Latinidad, but also the LGBT intersectionality. And I'm very intentional about that. And because there's a point where that can be talking about toxic masculinity, but that can be toxic into your body because the only thing that you're doing is portraying somebody that you're not. When every technique in theater, in acting, it starts with the exploration of identity. And most of the
Wow.
time, when we talk about the intersectionality of brown people and LGBT people, we ask them to erase their identity, get accent reduction, be masculine, sound white. So I'm very intentional about not doing that anymore. And it's been proven successful for me.
I
Wow, this
love
got real
that.
deep like
No,
30 minutes.
I love this because you know what I thought when you said that, when you talked about the toxicity and
Mhm.
how your director fired you because you were too gay presenting.
Right.
That my immediate thought was that he was justified, and toxicity is something that you have to constantly combat. So I
Yeah.
that helped me recognize in myself where my edges are as far as me unpacking and decreasing and devolving a lot of these built-in stereotypes and negative reactions to gayness that are already ingrained in me. So I really applaud you for sharing your story, and I'm so glad because it looks different for everybody, and wow, this is just a great conversation to have.
And it's interesting because that director, the only person that got fired that was not because they were like missing rehearsals or because what happened was is that the school went on strike.
Mhm.
And everybody, what people do when the school goes on strike is that you're either on the strike or because you're in the island, everybody goes to the beach. But we had opening of the show the next weekend. So he was like, everybody stays on campus, not on campus, but like off campus, but still on town to rehearse because we were opening. So I stayed, and everybody that left to the beach got fired. But he fired me with
Okay.
those people. So he's signifying that what I was doing as a gay man was as bad as not coming to rehearsal. Right.
Yeah.
So, like, the
Skipping work.
dichotomy of that is like really, really always sat with me. And also, I was
You
17. So,
Yeah, you existing is equal to them being disobedient or not really applying themselves to the position. So, yeah, that's really a lot to unpack. So, thank you for sharing that. I'm so happy to hear your perspective on these things. One thing we didn't talk about last week that I really kind
Uh-huh.
of want to talk about, get into, uh, is what you were already kind of talking about when you take off the mask, when you consciously decide that the mask is not worth it. And what did that look like for you? How did you really come to that conclusion that that was enough? And like, is it something that you said it helped you in your personal and professional life? What about in your private life? How has that affected you as well?
Well, it's all about discovering who you truly are, right? As opposed to what society wants you to be or what you're expected to be. And that takes time, right? And I feel like you can weave out people that like kind of like don't align with who you are or don't really actually like you, right?
Hmm.
um and that's true for dating too, even though dating is more complicated, I think,
Hmm.
than that. Um so it just helps center yourself into being yourself. Um and sometimes it's like I found myself being more masculine in certain things by
Yeah.
being myself, and
So
sometimes it's just mhm.
why do you think that is? Do you think it's just why do you think that is? I'm not going to try and lead you.
Well, because we're expected to behave like and I always think that like because I am come from Puerto Rico, which has been like we talk about colonization, but like Puerto Rico is like double colonized, right? Because the
Yeah.
Spanish came and then the Americans came, the United States Americans, right? Um, it's that the first thing that they do is to kind of dictate how we behave, right? And that's something that we never got away from, right? Like how uh, we changed the Taino people and the black people that came through to the islands to even like suppress our emotions, right? Like they codify us how we behave, and that has to also sweep through into gender norms, right? Taino women were able to divorce, you know, and this is like before the 1500s, and then we don't have divorce until 1950, so it takes 400 years to like get back to that. So imagine just simple things as masculinity, right? And I feel like when you're living in your truth, part of it is like discovering who you are as just like a human, uh,
Hmm.
and um, uh, and it's just a self-discovery by uncolonizing your mind as well, which some people like they don't even know what that means.
Yeah, colonization has really stripped a lot of people of a lot of fruitful practices that were out there way before, quote unquote, the civilized world was here. Yeah, you spoke on. There's so many things. Well, so I think that speaking on that, like, there's a lot of matriarchal societies that were ruined because of the colonization, and
Right.
yeah, just colonialism in general is has taken a lot from a lot of people, and I think that if we can rediscover some of those roots, that would be great. And I think that also when as far as masculinity is concerned, I feel like since we're on the topic of colonialism,
Mhm.
which I don't even know how we got here.
Well, no, because we're talking about performing masculinity. And that's important because you and I come from the indigenous people of the Caribbean. And that's the
Yes.
Taino people. And because I'm here, I'm gonna like do a little lesson. And
Yeah,
the
and I did a
indigenous people,
23andMe, and yes, I have Taino Indian in me.
absolutely. There's no question about that. And the Taino people, not only they were like one of the first indigenous people to not have gender norms. Like they had female cacicas, which were the leaders. They were warriors. They did everything in the that cult that their society had. And when the Spanish came, they were horrified, by this, right? It was like, how dare you have a woman be the leader? Like all of those things. And it took literally centuries for us to even have a female governor. So like you have to think about those things, and think about your ancestry, right? And
Yeah.
that will inform who you are because you're building on what they did, and some of it was erased in on purpose.
Erased. And I mean, I'm black too, so a lot of African cultures had that ingrained in them as well. And as far as their masculinity, a lot of it was thrust upon them. It wasn't necessarily ingrained in their society at the time. So I hear what you're saying. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's a great look at how your past and what happened in the past, and even with your ancestors. I think a lot of that carries through to you in the now, even though it was hundreds and hundreds of years ago. I think a lot of that is ingrained in your DNA right now. So I see
Absolutely.
how that's relevant, and how that can really lend itself to inform you on who you are and who you're becoming. Let's talk a little bit more about like the gay community in general, though. Do
Sure.
you think we as gay men, and again, I'm saying in general, I'm not saying everybody.
Yeah.
How do you feel that we cope with masculine ideals in society? What do you think that it says about our need for approval in the society?
Well, if we look at history, I'm like, why am I a professor today?
You are.
The first thing that we did as a gay community after Stonewall was to eliminate and ban all the people that were non-gender conforming, specifically the trans women that were the leaders of the Stonewall movement, right? And we still have been reckoning with that,
Girl, we're
right?
still dealing with that
Today,
shit right on today.
right? Because the first thing we do is like, oh, like let's not include trans people, even though like most of the things that we have today is thanks of the trans people that really had no choice but to, revolt, right? And because they revolt, we were able to have rights that might be on the shopping board like as soon as like in a couple months, right? So that's something I don't know if we have reckoned with, but I am very intentional about knowing not only what I'm doing, but also what the privilege that I have with how I exist, and how can I use those in order to expand my community and give those access to my community. Because as gay men, we're literally the people that are closest to the heteronormative. So we are the
Yep.
ones that can actually create those bridges, right? And apparently, once we got gay marriage, we're like, we're good, close the door, go away. So we have to be intentional about that. And I think that that's when we are going to like embrace our masculinity, and because most of the male, you know, people species are like protectors and like to try to get everybody else kind of
Oh,
in line. So
you think
let's
so? You
actually
think
come in into our identity.
Oh, okay. All right. I didn't, I haven't met too many men that are protected now. No, but I hear what you're saying, and I
It
really,
seems like an opportunity for growth.
oh, there it is, right there. I know I'm a protector, so me and Beyonce. Uh, um, but I hear what you're saying, and I think that like taking it from history and bringing it into the now, I think that a lot of that for the need to be accepted by society has thrust upon us the idea of having to fit into heteronormative uh, ideals, basically. And I feel like a lot of people and a lot of gay men out there are really kind of putting on this face to just to help them fit into society. So I really think that that's something that people should unpack, maybe by looking back and seeing how they've maligned certain
Yeah.
groups of people in order to get ahead, quote unquote. And I really think that that's important for us to as a community to really look at. So yeah, I hear what you're saying, and I feel like it's it is a coping mechanism. So I feel like a lot of people shouldn't beat themselves up, because at the end of the day, they were just trying to look out for themselves. But it's a good thing to recognize and see how you can move forward without causing harm. So yeah, I think that that's what the biggest ideal for me is.
Can I
There's
add
one more thing that
something?
I'm.
It's just
Go ahead.
Well, and so I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. I do want to add that there's a difference between like creating a safe space for yourself within these performative things, but there we've seen a lot that these people then actively are then putting down other people, because that's the way this kind of oppression works, right? That
Mm.
not only you're expected to like capitulate, but you're expected to oppress as well. And that's why
Mm.
the systems keep taking care of themselves, right? And that's why we see sometimes that some of the oppressed people then are oppressing harder just to perform for the oppressor. So
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying, but we also have to be intentional about like, if you're not gonna help, then get out of the way and don't start oppressing yourself.
Also, okay, and I'm gonna just push back a little bit because I hear what you're
Sure.
saying and I totally acknowledge it, but until you know better, you can't do better. Does that make sense? Because if you
No,
don't
I
know,
absolutely understand that, but there's some people that we're talking about masculinity and things, then they're like, oh, but that people are disgusting because they're feminine, and so and that's a more active role than just being like, I'm masculine, I'm gonna present this way, and I'm not gonna fuck up with anybody else. Does that make sense?
yeah, and I think that I hear you. Maybe it's the optimist in me that feels like thumbs up. It feels like a lot of this is done unintentionally, but I feel like maybe there's something to be said for that. There are people out there that they just want to get ahead, and they are doing these things to actually make themselves rise up the totem pole a little bit faster. So it's more malicious, I feel like, from your perspective, and I think it's more done without any malice in my from my perspective.
Well, I think it's
But I think
intentional if you know what you're doing. That's what I'm saying.
I hear that, but I don't think that everybody does know better. I think that a lot of people don't know any better, and I think that me seeing a lot of stupid people out there in the world
Mhm.
has led me to believe that because I met somebody the other day and I was like, how can they even separate these two things? And I don't want to say what it is specifically because it
Okay.
will like throw people on the bus, but it has to do with like the whole, everything that's going on with immigration and stuff like that. And
Oh, I
like
see.
it's like, how do you separate? Like, this is something that could literally affect you and your family, and you still have no clue that this could affect you. And
Hmm.
it's the same thing with the whole masculine trope and the things that are going on here. You are basically cutting off your foot despite your leg. If that's how the
Yeah.
saying goes at all. Cutting off your nose despite your face. That's the one
Don't
right
ask me
there.
colloquialisms in English. Don't ask me. We do have a comment from Doug. Do you want me to read it?
Yes, please go right ahead.
So Doc says, growing up in the 80s, masculinity was thrust upon us. It was what we saw on movies, television, music, and pop culture of the era, which is really true, right? And
Yeah,
it all comes from the whole Hollywood, like kind of like dictating what we were able to see and
the
really
leading man
capitulating
trope.
to usually middle America too.
Yeah, totally. One more thing before we actually move on.
Sure.
Can we talk about how, and I think I want to talk about this because it's something that I do constantly,
Oh,
the more physical side of the performance,
uh-huh.
like working out, getting muscles, being hairy, and all the masculine fashions. How do you see this present itself in gay men out there in the world?
Well, we see there's fats, and fats are tend to be more
You're
masculine.
saying fads, right? Fads.
FADS.
Yes. Okay. Just making sure because it sounded like fads for a second. I was like, oh no, girl, not on
It's
this
called
podcast.
it's called an accent,
I know you have.
darling.
I've just
I
been trying
you
to.
you should be familiar with it.
I am very familiar with them. All right. A lot of my family members have the same accents. You
I
getting
know.
a lot of thumbs up from
Sometimes she's
mine.
half Puerto Rican. Sometimes.
That's what it needs to be. Have half the time I am.
Sometimes.
I'm a
Um,
sometime Rican. Go ahead.
that usually capitulates to heteronormative. I grew up in Puerto Rico, and like it was like a little like some of the things that we used to do. Like we used to pluck our eyebrows like really thin.
Oh, I used
Um,
to hate that. I used to be like, this is a mess. I'm sorry, but
And
you did that. I want to see pictures.
oh yeah, I had like my friend used to call it like drag queen eyebrows, like really thin. Shave our legs too was like so it just depends. It's like I think it's like that's cultural.
Yeah.
At some point you're just comfortable with what you like. To me, I let my beard grow because my agent said that it was probably better for booking roles, so I did, and then I was like, wow, this is like nice. I'm gonna. So I left it. I left it grow. So I just it's just a preference for me. What about you?
No, I totally put on a masculine persona out there in the world as far as my look is concerned. Maybe not in the
Yeah,
way, and I don't think we touched on this at all last week.
I
Uh,
consider you femme. No, gagged.
gag, gag, goop, gagged,
She was gagged.
gagged into silence.
Oh my god!
That never happens. I never shut up.
I mean,
What?
I
Can you repeat that for me? Can you repeat that into
no,
speak into
I
the
consider
microphone?
you a femme top, and that's why I think that you're so attractive to me because you have like these sensibilities, but you're I don't know. Sorry to gag you.
Gag, goop. Everybody, nobody says that. A lot of people like think that I'm very masculine in the world. Maybe when we hang out, well, we've hung out in person before. I don't know.
We have.
Either way, and it doesn't matter to me, but I think I was really gagged because I don't get that a lot. But yeah, I can
Okay.
see it. I see myself as as having some feminine traits as well. But we were talking about the way I look on the outside, and I think that the muscles and the hair, the body hair, and a lot of that. I think I've
Yeah.
been, especially on the phone, like I've been misgendered a lot. So I think that
You
that is
see,
a source
so
behind it.
yeah, you're mass presenting, but more femme in terms of mannerism.
I think so. I really
To
do
my
think so.
perspective, but like, but to someone else, you might be like I'm telling you, it changes, right?
So what I think it is, I think that, and I said this last week, I think both sides of me are I have both feminine and masculine energy, and
Mhm.
either way, I feel like a lot of it, George, I feel
They're
like
dead.
depending on the situation and where I am, I think that either one can come out. Like if I'm kicking with my friends, I think you, James.
You see, everybody's agreeing with me. I'm just saying
It
the
is
chat
what it
is on
is.
fire. The chat is on
Either
fire.
way, either way, if I'm a blouse, if I'm not a blouse,
Blouse,
let's move
blouse.
on now. Um, I think that I have masculine and feminine energy that I use in different situations. I feel like maybe it's a bit of code switching. Maybe it's a bit of me harnessing certain energies in certain in,
No,
I can start laughing in certain situations. But I think that for me personally, the outside has saved me from a lot of, I feel like, persecution, a lot of,
sure.
because me being be presenting as more masculine out in the world if I don't talk, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, and that's part of the
People
privilege
that
too,
just
though.
they just assume that I'm a straight man walking down the street, and they don't fuck with me basically. Like
Yeah, yeah.
it saved me from a lot of harassment. I feel like so.
Hmm.
Unless I say, "Hey, girl, how you
Hey, go ahead.
doing?"
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. All right. Do you see that point? Even though I'm a blouse. Oh wow. I'm gonna talk about this all the rest of the show. I
Well,
think.
I do like what you're saying because, like, what you're saying in a sense is like, you do have the privilege to like uh kind of code switch in a little bit, right?
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
but there's people that don't have that privilege, right? So,
Oh, for sure. Definitely. So,
yeah,
okay, all right. Is there anything else you want to
gagged,
unpack before
gagged.
we move on? You definitely gagged me. I don't get gagged very often, and you can say you're one
We do
of
have one
very
comment.
few. Okay, go ahead and read it.
Well, other than everybody calling you blouse in the chat,
One
Doug
person
says,
called me a blouse.
"Hey, hey, uh, Doug says, if you remember men in the 70s and 80s, 70s and 80s, body hair and facial hair seemed to be more of the norm. Then in the 90s, body hair and facial hair seemed to be fall out of fashion. Now body hair and facial hair seems to be more on fashion. Yeah, so
Yeah.
fats. Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Yeah, totally. So I get it. Thank you so much, everybody, for
Thank
commenting. Is there anything
you.
else you want to do to wrap up this conversation that you want to say?
Well, I do want to publicly apologize for gagging you, but other than that, we're good. You were due for one.
It it hasn't. I'm telling you, it hasn't happened in a long time. So wow. I'm gonna go cry in my bed tonight. So thank you very much. I'm just joking. All right. So moving right along, we're gonna get into some hot topics if you're ready.
Woo,
The
hell
first,
yeah.
hell yeah. The first one is gay porn star Brent Corrigan. He's resurfaced on social media after 3 years, explaining that he had a massive seizure that nearly took his life. Brent Corrigan, whose name is Sean Paul Lockhart, addressed his fans on a thread on X, sharing that he has suffered a seizure in 2023 that eventually led him to being on life support because they weren't able to register any brain activity. The porn star said that his life was saved by some strange miracle and the incredible hospital staff. Shortly after that, he had to relearn how to do basic things like walking and eating. He's doing much better now, and I wish him all the healing on his new journey in life. So, yeah, I just wanted to briefly bring that up just to say, you know, he's in my thoughts and prayers. And did you want to? You have anything you want to say?
I'm glad he's okay, and yeah, those things can be serious. So I'm glad that he's
Yeah,
looks like he's heading to a full recovery, which is great.
yeah. I'm glad he's doing better. So, shout out to you, Brent. Next topic is King Charles unveils a memorial to gay military veterans. An open letter, which is the name of the memorial, was unveiled on the National Memorial Arboretum in Stratfordshire on Monday, October 27th. King Charles, who has never publicly commented on LGBTQ plus rights, laid a bouquet of flowers next to the memorial during the dedication ceremony. Up until 2000, LGBTQ plus people were not allowed to serve in the Army, Air Force, or Navy in the UK. Many veterans were court martialed or forced to leave without an income or pension. Under the policy,
Oh my
anyone
god.
even just thought to be gay or transgender could be subjected to sometimes brutal interrogation and dismissal. The freestanding sculpture made from forged bronze features words taken from evidence from some of those affected by the ban. The memorial is one of 49 recommendations made by the Etherton Review, an independent report commissioned by the government to look into the treatment of queer veterans who served while the ban was in force. Teddy, what are your thoughts on this new memorial and the people in the UK?
Well, first, I hope this memorial doesn't look like the Tina Turner memorial. But other than that, I mean, that's cool. I think King Charles is like way cooler than people think. Uh,
So I
well, like
don't
he
know.
used to hang out with like Joan Rivers, and like he used to have like all these jokes. So he like really likes comedians. So I think this is really cool. I it seems like the UK is heading to a direction that should be emulated by the United States, since the United
Ooh,
States seems to be going to the wrong direction.
clock it.
So I clocked it, clocked that one. So I'm happy for the UK. I mean, I every time I see UK television, it's like so better done than our television. So I'm like always like,
Wow.
oh, one day, one day.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'm glad making strides to course correct a lot of the things that they uh, had done in a discriminatory fashion in the past. So yeah, I'm
mhm.
really happy for this, and I'm happy for King Charles. I hope he's as cool as you think he is. And yeah, R.I.P. Joan Rivers. Anything else you want to say?
Rest in peace, Joan Rivers. I miss Joan Rivers, don't you? Oh my
I
God.
do. I do. I miss Joan Rivers. She was so she she never was politically correct, but it always was
Mm-hmm.
funny. And I tell people all the time, if you're going to be an asshole, make it funny. So
Mm-hmm. Funny is
she knew how
funny.
to do that really well. That's right. All right, so next topic is about Bad Bunny.
Oh,
And here's a shocker. If you're against Bad Bunny headlining the Super Bowl in 2026, there's a high
shocking.
probability that you're also a homophobe and an even higher probability that you're a Republican. According to a recent poll by Quinnipiac University. I hope I pronounced that correctly because it is a kerfuffle of letters. The
Okay.
division around Bad Bunny's performance seems to be sharply divided along partisan lines. While nearly half of the participants approved of the NFL's decision to feature Bad Bunny, nearly 60%, 63% of self identified Republicans disapproved of the move. By contrast, and that seems like a low number if you ask me.
No.
Just say anyway, and by contrast, the decision was favored by 74% of surveyed Democrats. Additionally, race and age also played a factor in approval ratings. His performance received the most support from both Blacks and Hispanic respondents, as well as adults in the 18 to 34-year-old range. Are we either one of us in
Which,
that range? I'm 16,
almost.
so
We'll almost make it.
we're almost there. That
Yeah.
said, the controversy around Bad Bunny's performance boils down to the fact that he sings mostly in Spanish, and you'll understand, but I won't. I'll only catch like 5 words, and is a loud and frequent critic of the Trump administration. Teddy, are you shocked by any of these numbers or stats? And what do you think about Bad Bunny performing in the Super Bowl this year?
First of all, this is one of the most unnecessary studies that I ever heard. Like it's just like it tracks, everything tracks. I'm super biased because I don't know if you know this, but I am in two of Bad Bunny's videos, like 2 albums ago.
Oh, you're trying to be in one of mine?
I'm gonna direct one of yours. Even better. So
Oh,
I am
look out
in
for it, y'all.
Bad Bunny's Bete and Ignorantes. So Google it and you'll
Okay.
see me or
That
hear
last
me
one
because
sounds
one of them is
good.
just hear me.
Oh
Huh?
yeah, ignorantes. That sounds like you to a T, honey.
Oh no, be nice. Be nice.
You
I think
called
Bad
me a
Bunny
blouse earlier.
but
It
it's
wasn't
true.
even 5 minutes ago.
But Bunny's a really cool dude. He's obviously way younger than us, but he's have kind of did do something that I haven't seen before. And Puerto Rico, it's a land of a lot of like really big artists. It's the home to a lot of people that do really great art.
Yeah,
So just the fact that he's been able to not only succeed in Puerto Rico but also be a global star and one of the few people that actually he just has art that he's not doesn't capitulate to heteronormative, and that's I think was like just his identity is political because he has all of these things that are like naturally from Puerto Rico. He doesn't change the accent. That's why people are, oh, I don't understand it. I'm like, well, spend more time with Puerto Rican culture because
yeah.
that's what he's doing. He's just being really authentic. And I've loved that about him. And he's a cool guy. And he booked
Yeah.
me into video. So hey.
He's a great guy, and I can't wait for his music to the world to be exposed to his music because I think this is going to really transform a lot of people's opinions on him. Honestly, I was shocked at how low the number of Republicans that did 63%. That's really close to 50, and I really thought that it would be way higher than that. I thought it was going to be maybe like 74 or 80%. So,
That disapprove, is that what you're saying?
let's say they disapprove. Yes, 63% of
Well,
Republicans.
it's because also like there's always like this narrative of like everybody is disagreeing. I'm like, what? Because 3 people on a podcast say that they don't care about
Oh,
like
yeah.
also who
It seems
cares?
like the
Like
most.
remember when YouTube was the Super Bowl? I'm like, really the most boring band in the world like that? Like
Don't
really?
talk about you two like that. I love you two.
I'm just saying that was very high spectacle. That you know what I mean?
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, they're not very flashy. They just make really
It's
good
like
music.
and we're just like, okay, that's their year. Like
They're
whatever.
just they're just gonna sing, and it's just
Yeah.
gonna be music in the show. So I get
Also,
that.
if
Okay.
J Lo and Shakira was a tell of how that Super Bowl is gonna be, it's gonna be good.
Okay, Shakira.
I'm just saying. Don't be a
I'm
hater.
just
You're a
playing.
hater.
I'm not a hater. I love J-Lo. I'm just messing around. I'm just messing around. Yeah, okay. So I can't wait for the Super Bowl. I think that Bad Bunny's gonna fucking kill it. So
Yeah.
yeah, moving right along. Teddy, do you
Hmm.
know what a slutty chat bottom is?
No, but you're gonna tell me.
Am I? Maybe I'll make you Google it.
Okay.
All right, so I didn't either, but until I heard about the new book from Mike Albo, which is entitled "Hologram Boyfriends: Sex, Love, and Overconnection," which I just downloaded on Audible because it's now available on audiobooks too as well. So go out there and get it because in the book, Mike expresses how he has somewhat of an addiction to online chatting. He says he has multiple subscriptions to different chatting applications, and he chats with men all over the world and generally doesn't intend to meet any of them. It's hilarious
Hmm.
depiction. I heard a whole excerpt of it from the book, so I think it's super funny. And now, like I said, it's available on audiobook. But my question to you, Teddy, is: do you know any slutty chat bottoms? It says vast in my notes, but I meant to say, do you? First of all, do you know any slutty vast
Are
bottoms?
you calling me a slutty chat bottom? Is that what's happening?
And a slutty vast bottom too. So
So I have a couple of questions. So that means that you're like slutty, but you're not intending to sleep with any of these
you don't want
people.
to talk to, you don't want to meet any of them in person. You just go on there, you talk to
Like
them, you
talk.
ask them, yeah, you talk, you say dirty things to them
I
in the
feel like
chat.
we're talking
And
about 93% of WeHo. You know what I mean?
so you do know. You
Well,
do know some
because
slutty chat bottoms.
most of the apps, it's really hard to like actually meet with people. And I think like you and I and Steve and I, like we had conversations about how like we struggle on the apps, right? It's like we're more successful in person. You don't. Okay. Well, when you're
No,
at
I was
top,
about to say, I don't know if you listen to me on the podcast, but I don't struggle on those apps.
I've never listened to you, but
They struggle to keep up with me. All right. Even though I'm a blouse.
yeah. And that, well, but because you don't send video, so you're just quiet, so you present masculine. That's the That's the thing. Okay, I see it. So when you turn on your, I have a question about this. So when you turn on your grinder, or what do you use mostly? Sniffies?
Sniffies probably. But
Does it pop up like
my grinder was pretty hot today, so yeah.
interesting? Because I did have like this friend of mine that he was a top, and I remember for some reason he was showing me something on the phone, and I saw his grinder, and he had like 14 messages, and I was like, is that like are those like accrued messages? Because I never had more than like one or two, and he was like, oh, I logged in earlier, and
Yeah.
that. And I'm like, oh, this is one login, bitch. And he was like, yeah. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, the market is really slanted.
So what happens is you log in, and how long ago did he log in? Because it was like it's probably a couple hours before, and he got all
No,
those
he logged in
messages.
for like 10 minutes.
Oh, I don't believe it.
This is a very good looking
Well,
man.
I want to see this man.
I might
Okay.
introduce him this
I was
weekend.
gonna say introduce him to me.
But he's also a top though, so I'm just saying.
It's okay. Have you ever heard of Eiffel Tower? Anyway, so oh
I've never been to one, but I want to.
my God.
I want to go see it.
You want to see the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah,
Anyway. Okay.
I want to be in
Well,
it.
I think I've been a slutty chat bottom myself in
Oh,
life before. I
why is
think
that a
that,
bottom though? Why is it bottom?
well, you know what? It's because this guy is a bottom. I
Oh,
think
I see.
I've been a slutty chat top before because before I got my relationship, my most recent one, I definitely was not about about hooking up with a lot
Oh,
of people. I really was into kind of having conversations and seeing where that would lead me and the person that I was talking to because I was really looking for a relationship. Now I am not. So
oh.
I definitely meet up with some guys sometimes. We'll see what happens
Okay.
in life. Yeah, but everybody go check out the book. From what I've heard, it's really good. I got it on Audible already, and maybe we can revisit and we can talk about how I
Absolutely.
think the book.
We can do a book club.
Well, we already have a book club.
Oh.
My two recommendations were uh, All Boys Night Blue by I forgot who it
Hmm.
was sitting right over there, and Harriet Tubman Live in Concert by Bob the Drag
That's
Queen.
the guy from Moonlight, right?
No, I don't think so. I can go check and I'll let you know. I'll also ask Steve to put it in the notes, but it's in a previous episode, or I could just Google it right now,
I'll do it.
or you could just Google it right now. But yeah, it's both of those books are in our book club. Steve also picked two books, which I don't remember, and Lincoln also picked two books, which I don't remember. But
By
love them.
George Johnson.
Thank you very much, darling. Are you ready to do some Reddits?
Sure.
Sure. All right. So I think this first one is kind of on brand and on topic for what we are already talking about masculinity. So this guy says he broke down in tears over work stress, and his family shamed him for crying. And he wonders if this has ever happened to anyone else because it makes him so mad that he can't even be vulnerable because as a man, he can't cry because that's
Hmm.
not normal. Men don't cry. This pisses him off, and he wonders if many men go nuts if this is how they're treated. What do you
Okay.
think, Teddy? Thoughts on
But that goes
masculinity?
back to our first topic, right? To
Yeah,
performative masculinity, and
yes.
how like we're not even allowed to be vulnerable, right? It's like, when we used to cry, there was like, don't be a girl,
Don't be a
and that's
well.
like
I
a
got
bad
called a
thing. It's
pussy.
like
Don't be a pussy.
crying is human. Crying
Yeah,
is human. So and if it's that ingrained into not only his family life but also his work life, that is scary.
yeah. I agree. I think his family sucks. I think that everybody should be allowed to cry. Everybody feels sad. Everybody has emotions. Everybody should be allowed to eat bananas because that's apparently gay too. Everybody should be
Well,
allowed to express
if you're eating them whole.
do you have a banana nearby that you could demonstrate for us?
I'm all about plantains.
Oh, come on,
Plátanos.
plátanos. Yeah, I agree. I think that there is so many masculinity has become so restrictive, especially in the heterosexual community. That's why I'm happy to be gay right now because I could not
Mhm.
live by heteronormative society's
Impossible
depiction of what a
standards.
man should be. Yeah, it's just
Impossible
stupid.
standards. Yeah. Don't cry.
It's
Don't feel
free a lot of
emotions.
the shackles. Yeah. So I think this guy should go out there and say fuck you and to his family and let them know that this is something that a human being does because it feels like a lot of healing needs to go on in this family. So
Amen.
he should probably address it with them. Amen. All right, so this one
Amen.
is a little bit more salacious. Are you ready
Sure.
for the next Reddit?
Please. Please.
So this guy's best friend is a bottom and he's a top. They're both 19 and their dumb, flirty jokes and their rough patch turn into sex and a short situationship. Now that the friend is dating again, not the top, but the bottom, and
Hmm.
the top is a little jealous. Is he being a dick for feeling this way? He wants to know. So they've been close, a little backstory. They've
Yeah.
been close since they were 17, and they've always been playful with each other, like little jokes or slaps and teasing. But after the friend lost a little bit of weight and was feeling himself and they started touching and feeling a little bit more and the friend was the bottom guy was in a rough patch and he started to feel like they did there's something could be more between them as far as sex was concerned. They
Right.
didn't even actually get to the action of sex because they both got a little bit nervous about ruining the relationship, and one of them was a little bit embarrassed. But now the bottom guy is dating again, and he's the top guy is happy for him, but he'd be lying if he said that it didn't make him a little bit jealous.
Yeah.
Teddy, what do you think about this situation, and how can they navigate it?
Well, the top definitely got some feelings. So he was, because these are things that are hard to navigate, because even like sometimes I'm like in a like clear relationship like with friends with benefits, and then like something happens that you're just like feeling certain kind of way, because uh, uh go back to acting training, is that anything that you're doing, your body's not going to know that you have intellectualized in a different way. Meaning, if you're falling in love on stage, your body thinks you're falling in love, and even though you're intellectualizing as I'm acting that way. The same thing is with friend with benefits. Your body's gonna think that you're dating that person. So that's what happened to
Hmm.
the top. And he has some feelings, so he has to deal with it. And I recommend that he talks to this guy,
Yeah,
because that's
I
his
think that's
friend, and they have to navigate it together. Um, Even if it's like a conscious time out, maybe a little bit, and then get back to the friendship.
oh.
Or maybe the other guy also is feeling that way, and they can like
That's
pursue
what
it.
I want. That's what I think. Because I feel like the only reason that they stopped hooking up is because both of them didn't want to ruin the relationship. In
And
fact, I
it's
think
weird
I
that it's the
injected
bottom that
that
didn't
into
want
the
to sleep.
story.
I'm just like,
Um,
girl, in the United States,
I,
there's like a shortage of tops.
and you know what? They're both 19, so I feel like they could. This could possibly be something that is not going to turn out well for them. But if you think about it, it could lead to something beautiful, and it can only expand and help them navigate situations like this in the future. I don't know if they really want to lose this friendship, but there's always the
Yeah.
potential for them to actually grow from it. So I think that they should talk about it, gauge where they are as two individuals in this relationship, and see where it could go from there. I'm not saying that they should date right in this moment,
Hmm.
but I
Right.
do feel like it's something that should be explored, especially if both people are attracted to each other. They have a definitive affection for one another, and it's something that could possibly teach them a lot of things. So, yeah, I think it's something for them to explore. What were we going to say?
I did go through this exact
And
thing.
how old were you when it happened?
I was older. I was like in my mid 20s. And what happened was I had this friend that was like really close friend with me. And then we both kind of became single at the same time. And one of
Mm.
those things that were like going through things, and like then we like messed around a little bit. And I got feelings. I had feelings. And he didn't. And I talked to him and I was like, hey, I'm feeling this kind of way, but I really value your friendship. And I had to take a time out with him.
Okay.
We took a time out. I kind of reset, because you have to reset, right? Like give yourself grace. So I reset kind of like my feelings. And then when I was ready to like see him again, I'm like, and I told him, it's going to feel like I break up with you, but I just need to go away for a minute. And if you have me after that, it will be great. So then we reconnected, and we've been friends for like almost 20 years now.
Wow, that's amazing. You know what?
Yeah.
I feel like these two people, that could probably happen for them, even if they date. And like you said, maybe if they take a break, if they decide that they
Hmm.
don't want to be together again, then that could be a way
Right.
for them to reconnect. Because I don't know, I've never been in this situation. I've had friends that like me, but I've never really wanted to date anyone.
Everybody falls in love with me. I never fell in love with
Fucking
anybody. It's
God.
crazy.
Who said I fall in love? I definitely fall in love.
Okay.
I'm still in love anyway with myself.
Oh,
But yeah, yeah, no, so I think that this is something that could, it can only make them grow and be better. And it might be some bumps in the road along the way, but I feel like it's something worth exploring. So give this person a
absolutely.
call and talk about it, basically. All right, Teddy. Well, that is our show for the night.
That's it.
You can follow our special guest host, Teddy Alexis, on Instagram at Teddy Alexis. You can
Mhm.
follow me in two different places. Actually, Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice, and Instagram at Mr. Maurice. You can follow the show and Steve at I am Steve V on Instagram, and Tax Podcast on Twitter. So yeah, that's our show for tonight. Thank you so much for coming through, Teddy, and
Absolutely.
hashing it up with me. All right.
Hmm.
And in the meantime, continue having hot,
Hot
gay
gay
sex.
sex.
We missed you, boo.
Oh, I miss you. Bye, everybody.